What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan. I'm here to talk today about the huge 3-1 win over Toronto. Great game by PWHL Ottawa. Before we go into the breakdown of the game, I just want to highlight some key players this game. Above all else, I want to highlight Emrance Mashmeyer, who's had so far just an elite season, and today was really the pinnacle of her elite play, which I'm sure she's going to continue to have. 30 saves on 31 shots, a 9.67 save percentage. Completely outclassed the competition. And that's not to say that Erica Howe had a bad game. By no means did she. 8.94, 17 saves on 19 shots. But, you know, that was really the difference. Ottawa only needed 19 shots against Erica Howe to score the 2 goals that they needed. Mashmeyer was the Ottawa. You know, they got nothing past her. Yes, they got 1 goal, but she was absolutely standing on her head. There were a lot of really good chances that Toronto had that Mashmeyer was always up to the task. And that's not to say that our defense wasn't there. Our defense was really good, and I'll get into that. A few other players I wanted to highlight. Michaela Grant-Mentis, who got a point, went down hard into the boards. It's looking like she hurt her hand. So I'm really hoping that she's all right. In the third period, she took and it was just, you know, a freak thing that happens in the game, especially when you're going that fast. So, you know, thoughts and prayers for her. Really hope that she's all right, because she was actually becoming very fast. One of my favorite players on the team. Very skilled, gets a lot of points. It really sucks to see that happen, especially to somebody who I think was very quickly becoming a fan favorite. I hope she's all right. I hope it's nothing serious. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's some things that are more important than a game, and a player's safety, of course, is top of the list. You want your players to be safe, and while, yes, injuries are a part of the game, they're not a part of the game that are good. They're not a part of the game that anybody wants, and, you know, I'm hoping nothing but the best and for a quick, speedy recovery. And the other player who I really wanted to highlight was Lexi Adja, who's now scored a point in 4 games, which is wild that she is so consistently scoring. She has scored a point every single game. Every single game. That is wild. That's the kind of point production that you want from a player like Lexi Adja. And the fact that she is, and I know I'm kind of treading over certain territory over and over again, but she's such a versatile player because she's very physical. She's a strong player. She can steamroll you. She can outmuscle you. And she can score a point every single game. What's not to love? Now let's actually get into the breakdown of the game. I felt like out of the gate, Ottawa looked like the better team. I'd say through the first 5 to 10 minutes, Ottawa really looked a lot stronger. And we saw that throughout most of the first through, I think, how they controlled play. You know, I think actually by the end of the first, Toronto did have more shots, but I felt like the momentum, the flow of the game was still in Ottawa's favor. And that's very vital, because shots are good, but you want good shots. You want, you know, high danger shots, but you also want to control the flow of the game. You want your best players taking the best shots, and you don't want to be having the opponent skating circles around you. And I don't think that we skated circles around them, but I do think that we played better in the first. And immediately we capitalized. 5 minutes into the game, Emily Clark, 1-0, huge. So happy for Clarkie. That's exactly what you want to see. She has been a great player. She's been a noticeable player. So to get that goal, it's really good to see. The place absolutely erupted. TD Place was on fire. The thing is, Toronto really pushed back, and especially after the first goal. Toronto was not willing to lay down and die. Our other game against Toronto, they kind of did. It was 3-0 by the end of the first. The game was over. The game really was over at the end of the first period. You could have turned it off. You wouldn't have missed a damn thing. This game, Toronto came back with a vengeance and with a fury. And they were really aggressive, and we didn't really have an answer. And that ultimately led to Brittany Howard tying it for Toronto, 1-1. And, suspicion was sneaking in, doubt was sneaking in, because, Ottawa hadn't won a game at home yet. TD Place wanted to see a win. Ottawa wanted to see a win. And we're playing Toronto, worst team in the league. They have, I believe, 4 regulation losses going into this game. If there's a team to beat, this is the team to beat. It's the Battle of Ontario, and it's on home turf. You got to win that. You got to win the home ice Battle of Ontario. Everybody calm down. Because Ottawa does what Ottawa's done so consistently, respond to adversity. And we've seen this in so many games. We get scored on, and that adds fuel. That doesn't take the wind out of our sails. It actually puts wind into our sails. And after the Toronto goal, Ottawa got right back into the period. Maschmeyer, obviously, she made a few stellar saves. And there was also a huge defensive play that doesn't get talked about enough, I don't think. But it was like an open net, and it was a stick save, not by Maschmeyer. I don't quite remember who made the play, but it was a beautiful deflection. Toronto had an open net, and it was this kind of aggressive, dominant play that led to Brianne Jenner, the captain, potting the first of the season for her. Boom! Ottawa's right back 2-1. Little did we know at the time that would go on to be the game winner, which means now twice Ottawa has scored the game-winning goal against Toronto in just the first period. But this game was a little different. This wasn't like a 3-0 first period in a 5-1 laugher. This was a close game, and it stayed close throughout. And defensively, I thought Ottawa was good. Despite getting really heavily outshot, I thought Ottawa was good because there was still a lot of blocking. There was still a lot of preventing Toronto from getting too much. Yes, they would get a good shot. They didn't get too many good rebounds. I actually noticed very few good rebound opportunities, and the few that they did, there was often a block shot. There was a player who was there, somebody who was up to the task, when Maschmeyer wasn't already just making phenomenal saves. But the one issue is throughout the game, we got hemmed in our own zone. That's why I think they got a lot of those shots. And in the second period, I think this is when it was very noticeable. We were up to the task. We were the better team to start the second, and Toronto made a few huge saves. Like I said, Erica Howe did not have a bad game, and it easily could have become a laugher at the start of the second. Ottawa had a few good chances that could have made it a 3 or even 4-1 game. And had that happened early in the second period, I think this would have been a very different game. I don't think this game would have been nearly as tight. If it's 4-1 and there's 10 minutes in the second, game's over. You know who's won. You aren't going to be on the edge of your seat. You're going to be like, yep, Ottawa won this one. But Toronto was up to the task. They stayed in it. They had a good second period. I think Ottawa had a good second period too. I think that the teams were a lot more evenly matched throughout the rest of the game. I do think Ottawa ultimately had an edge throughout the entirety of the game because, like I said, there was a lot of controlling play when they needed to. But Toronto definitely pushed back, and they did start controlling play a lot more. And Toronto was getting more aggressive, more physical, in a way more desperate, in the sense of, they were down by 1, and you could tell that they were kind of throwing everything they had. They were making sure that by the end of the game, there would be nothing left in the tank. That if Toronto was going to lose this game, it wasn't going to be despite anything. It wasn't going to be because of a lack of effort or because, this player wasn't giving it. On this play, everybody just kind of said, I'm too tired, and just watched Ottawa score. You could tell Toronto was going to give it their all. If they were going to lose, they were going to lose like champions, in the sense of, I think our other one against Toronto did not play like a good team. They did not play like a team that wins games. They didn't play like, a team that is even trying to win a good game. Ottawa just dominated them thoroughly. This game was different. Ottawa did not thoroughly dominate Toronto. They were the better team. They did not thoroughly dominate Toronto. Toronto was in it, and if Ottawa was not up to the task, Ottawa would have lost this game. If Ottawa didn't play to the highest level possible, this would not have gone down in the books as a win. It did, though. And that's because Ottawa did play to the highest possible level. They got a penalty about midway through the second period. First of a few penalties that they got. And our defense was absolutely crazy on the penalty kill. Another open net shot that got blocked by a defender. I really liked our defense. I've heard some people, I actually went to the game with a few people today, and I've heard some people who I know and online saying that our defense isn't that good. Oh, we give up too many chances. Wholeheartedly disagree. I really think that our defense is our strongest point because while, yes, we oftentimes will give up chances, every team's going to give up chances. You can't expect a team to have 0 shots against. But what you can do is have a team that will block the most dangerous shots, plug up lanes so that a team isn't having their most dangerous player taking the most dangerous shot. And on rebounds, you are there before the offense. That's what Ottawa did a lot. If Maschmeyer didn't immediately cover, which she did quite a lot, and I really do need to emphasize how important that has been, because that can be the difference in a lot of games. Whether a goaltender covers the puck right after a save or can't quite get there, the play continues, and then there's a goal. And Maschmeyer is almost always up to the task and almost always able to tell when the puck needs to be covered and covering it safely without issue. That is a huge benefit. But I also want to, like I said, give credit to the defenders. When that doesn't happen, a defender's almost always there to make sure that there's nothing else that can happen on the play, that the puck goes safely to the side, and Toronto needs to reset and reestablish control of the puck and reestablish an offensive attack, reestablish pressure, that it's not nearly as consistent as getting a shot, getting a rebound, getting another open look. You might get the shot. You almost certainly won't get the rebound. You're going to have to reset. And Ottawa was very good at doing this. Another thing I noticed, Ottawa had a power play, and Toronto was very aggressive in the sense of you could tell that they were still thinking of jailbreak, that they were trying to get the puck and do something with it, that they were trying to not have us even have the puck in their zone. Ottawa's penalty kill looked a lot more like a National Hockey League penalty kill, which is to say it looked like they were killing time. It looked like they were clearing the puck and making sure that Toronto didn't score, that they weren't concerned about whether or not they could get some magic to happen and get a jailbreak goal. They just wanted to make sure that they didn't get scored on. And I like that when you're up by 2-1. You're up by 1. We've already got a lead. If the game ends, you win. So, yeah, I liked it. And they did it well. They had really good penalty kills throughout the entire game. So, very good aggressive, a few good chances. Another penalty kill. Another boarding call. Not another boarding call, sorry. Maschmeyer was really elite on the penalty kill as well. She made a few stellar saves. And again, more defensive wizardry. Maschmeyer being Maschmeyer. It was a good second. I felt like, it took a bit, but we matched Toronto's intensity. We still had the edge, generated a few high chances, and then the third started. The third, I think, was weak to start out. We had a bit of trouble entering the zone, I found, at the very start of the third, at least. There were quite a few times where we tried to enter it and we dumped the chase and we didn't get to it. And that happened a few times. It was honestly kind of a low action start to the third. The third would eventually really ramp up, but I felt the first 5 minutes, Toronto had pressure, but didn't really get much out of the pressure. They would have the puck in our end and try to set something up, and then the play would devolve. And it would lead to a broken play, and then Ottawa would do the same. And Ottawa had the puck in Toronto's zone, generate some pressure. Nothing came out of it. I think though Toronto was getting more shots in the third. I believe there was a time where into the third period they had like 6 shots and we had none. But like I said, I did not feel like they were completely overwhelming us. Mainly because, like I said, it was a lot of them having the puck in our end, maybe getting a shot off, us getting it out, us having the puck in their end, and just not getting a shot off. Which is to say, while it's not good, you can tell that Ottawa's a team that really looks for the right shot. They aren't just going to shoot the puck constantly and just hope something goes in. They try to be a bit more accurate with their shots, even with a lot of their shots that miss, or they pass to somebody who's open and they just can't quite get to the puck. You can tell that Ottawa's really trying to generate those high danger scoring chances. And Toronto had a few times where they shot the puck. You should do that when you're down one. But there's also a part of you that says, I don't know why she shot. I don't know why she shot in that position. She had teammates open. You could have waited and maybe something would have become available. But at the same time, you got to shoot. I can't really fault Toronto for wanting to shoot the puck when they're down by one in the third period. You can't wait for the perfect shot. And I think that's the thing. Ottawa had the luxury of being up 2-1 throughout basically the whole game after the first period and being able to look for that perfect shot. You don't want to give Toronto an opportunity to get back into the game. You want to hold on to the lead. If you find that perfect shot and can score and make it 3-1, of course do it, but not at the expense of an odd man rush the other way. Not at the expense of Toronto getting the puck and having a really good scoring opportunity. I felt Ottawa was very good at preventing Toronto from getting back into the game too much. We went back onto the penalty kill again. Defense and Maschmeyer huge. I do think throughout the first half of the third, Toronto controlled play a little bit more. And this is something that, I've been reiterating in this video. Controlling play is very important because even if it's not necessarily generating shots or generating goals, it's something that leads to sustained momentum and will lead to shots, will lead to goals. And throughout the first half, I was a bit on my heels because I was thinking Toronto's controlling a lot of play. This is the exact thing you don't want to see when you're a team with a lead in the third period. The last thing you want is to give your opponent a chance to get back in this game. And then Ottawa was up to the task. Again, we keep seeing this with the Ottawa team. When they start to face some adversity, that generates like a new level of intensity, a new level of skill, and they play up to their competition when their competition is doing well. It's almost like part of me wishes that everyone on Ottawa just constantly thinks that we're down by one, no matter what the score is. Because when they play like that, that's when they play their best. And we did get our edge back. We got back onto the power play, and again, we didn't score, but I felt like this started to calm the game down a little bit. We were able to keep them at bay, and that's what you want to do when you have a lead. And throughout a majority of the third period, we were able to keep them at bay. They controlled play. We got the power play though when we pushed back, and the time was winding down. We were keeping them away from having too many good opportunities, and then get another penalty. And there was a little over 2 minutes left, and you could cut the tension with a knife, and Toronto pulls the goalie. So now you're thinking two things. Well, three things really. Thing number one is just kill this penalty. Doesn't matter how you kill the penalty. If you kill the penalty, the game's over. You win. Then they only have a few seconds. Number two, just don't get scored on. As long as you don't get scored on, you're fine. That is the most vital part. Yes, it would be nice, obviously, to get the jailbreak, but as long as we had a strong defensive game for the last 2 minutes and change, it's good. If the score holds, we win, and we win in regulation. But number three was, it would be pretty nice to get a jailbreak goal. And our defense came out flying. They were so aggressive. Even on a 6-on-4, Toronto was struggling to keep sustained momentum. They did have a few chances, but nothing too good. Lots of plugged lanes, blocked shots, us getting them to the boards and really eating up some clock. And then from behind her own net, Lexi Adja around the boards and into the Toronto open net. Somebody call AC/DC. That is a jailbreak here in Ottawa. 3-1, 4-game point streak for Lexi Adja, 4-game point streak for Ottawa, and that is our second W of the season. Bye, Toronto. Go get on the bus real quick. You're done. See you later. And there we are. First ever home win. Huge home victory. And it's a back-to-back. This is another game. Night after. Huge opportunity to really give us some separation. We've already gotten a lot of separation now from Toronto. And we have more points than Boston in as many games. And I believe it's as many points or more points than New York with games in hand. So this really gives us the opportunity to leave, especially Toronto and Boston, kind of in the dust. We play Boston. So a win here would mean in as many games we've got a lot more points. This gives us the opportunity to give ourselves some separation from the competition as we go towards the quarter point of the season. So, huge opportunity for Ottawa. Massive win. So many players had great games. I didn't even get to mention Katerina Mazova, although she didn't get a point, had another great game. Amazing hockey IQ. Michaela Grant-Menti, I really hope she's okay because, I mean, she's been amazing for us. And, you know, her fall did look a little nasty. So I really hope she's okay. But just an all-around good game, a really good effort. And, of course, Maschmeyer stood on her head. I mean, I hope the entire team buys her dinner for the rest of the month. It was amazing. She was phenomenal tonight. She's been phenomenal all season. Huge win. And, as always, go Ottawa, go.